So I got to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Why support any political party then? Why not just say, this politics stuff is just like pointless. What we need to do is return to monarchy. And why not just go all in on monarchy?
Look, of course you can do that, but it's a gradual process. Remember now, the parliament has only opened now. They don't even have a legislation ready for independent candidates. And even in the independent space, they've just literally messed up the whole legislation to make sure that if you're an independent, you're a single person and don't stand for anything. So if you say you're a monarch, how are you going to stand for politics today?
But who cares? But who needs to stand for politics? I mean, we said this once to John Steiners, and it's like, what are they going to do? Send in the army? Like, they got no bullets, mate. Like, they got no bloody trucks. They got no petrol. Like, who cares?
Absolutely.
Like, just do your own thing.
So it's based on pursuing a different path.
If I was a Zulu king or something, like without any context, I'm talking out of my backside here. So please, if I'm wrong, say stupid white boy, keep quiet. But if I was a Zulu king, I'd be like, listen, I've got 2-3 million hectares. It belongs to me and my house and the royal family.
Which they have, by the way.
Social grants are killing my people. And that's true. I've heard it from a first-hand source who knew the previous goodwill Zwelithini, the previous king. We're going to have a moratorium. We're going to go back to tradition. We're going to make sure our land is exploited for the benefit of our people. We're going to impose traditional laws. And who's going to stop the Zulus from doing that? No one. But it appears like there's a lack of will in terms of doing that. And it's a bit sad. Or maybe I'm completely wrong.
No, Roman, they are doing it. But you see, one of the things is capital is very sneaky. Ngoyama Trust is one of the most highly valued trusts with lots of money. It even gets money allocation from national. But they don't tell you the projects they do. Half of the development happening on the north coast of KwaZulu-Natal is owned by the Ngoyama Trust.
Oh, really?
All those up developments from Umhlanga right up, all those developments, and including the Ilovo, the sugarcane, the Tongat, and all of them, were all part of the Ngoyama Trust land. But what they don't tell you is how they actually split the dividends and everything. And they treat the Zulus like idiots. I mean, by the way, they don't tell them the facts about how to evaluate and value their share and dividend out of those things and everything, how to set up their own commune housing schemes where you can buy into it or you can even do development part of it. So a lot of it is based on our ignorance as Africans, and they exploit that ignorance. So right now, you go to a ceremony in KZN, there's already an army in KZN. That is why it's one of the most untouchable provinces. It's called, what you call it, Amabuto. You cannot start a war with anyone with the king right now in KwaZulu-Natal because he's got Amabuto, which is the protectors of the monarchy, who are unofficial. They're not an army established under the Act of South Africa, but they have traditional value system. They belong to Amabuto structures in communities in their chieftain structure throughout the province of KwaZulu-Natal. When they come together, it's almost 2 million of them, men.
So I'm curious, man. I got to ask the question. Okay, so I lived in Japan for a year when I finished university, and I spent as part of my studies in Japan, I had to, I was a full-time. So we call them uchideshis. I was a full-time living student in a martial arts dojo. I studied martial arts full-time for a year, and as part of that, we did a lot of cultural studies, learning Japanese, some history. I taught English on the side for a year. It was great fun. Great fun. Okay. But I got to ask you some questions, right? So there's a period in Japan called the Meiji Restoration. So the Meiji Restoration was basically when the peasants decided that they no longer wanted to be subject to the rules of the shogun. So the shogun was like the military dictator. And what they tried to do is restore the monarchical structures. They had the Meiji Restoration.
The protectors of the monarchy.
Yeah, so they basically said, okay, screw this like politics stuff. We want to return back to the monarch. And the monarch was Meiji, Emperor Meiji. So the first thing that Meiji did, and the very most famous thing he did, is he went all over the world and he found the best people he could get that could forge for him his monarchical structure. He got the top lawyers. He got the top legislators. He got experts in railways, ports, army builders, agriculture. He went and he found all of the top experts and he just said to them, right, This is what I want to do when I shape my country. Yeah, the shogun's still there, but like we'll deal with that separate. And he was like, let's just bullshit now. We're going to do this. I want you to tell me how to do it. And he built the entire structure. At the same time, he got army folk to come there and train all his farmers to become army soldiers. And he just went all over the world to go find all these like mercenaries that would come then teach them how to be good soldiers. What stops, let's say, for example, what stops your kingdom from doing that? What stops your kingdom going to get lawmakers, constitutional lawyers, agriculture experts, mercenaries who can train you your own private army? What stops you from doing that?
Look, nothing at this stage, because the constitution allows for independent existence in that sense. The only problem is everything in today's time is money related. Most of the monarchies don't have the money, nor do they have the expertise. As soon as they have money, I can assure you that's going to happen. And that is why the biggest, smartest scheme was to keep monarchies very poor. And given the fact that they don't have money, their ideas are usually only based on what to do on a survival level. So that's what happens in the situation, and it won't change for a while until clever ones come. I mean, take for instance a situation in Niger, Burkina Faso, what is happening currently in West Africa and North Africa. We are not far from it. I mean, I just saw a video, I think a day or so yesterday, of some army guy in Zimbabwe who is tired of, for instance, the current regime, and was actually talking on his TikTok about what they need to do to reverse some of the issues that they are feeling that Zimbabwe is going down in. So these things are not far-fetched. They're going to be happening very soon. The situation of private armies is a reality now, and every country is going to be faced with those issues. The situation of people doing their own thing, because we've pushed so much of this ideology of privatization to a point where there's no more limits to it. Companies are already running private armies. In South Africa, you have for instance, security industry as the largest, security patrol, what do you call it, the guarding system in the country.
More security people than police.
No, bigger than police in the military.
5 times.
That's right.
So bizarre. It's bigger than about 2 million people in security, all guards, armed, most of them. So imagine that the police in South Africa, as well as the military forces, cannot even compete against the interest of the private security industry. So pretty soon, somebody is going to come, and it's unfortunate. We're getting too older. I should have been 20 years younger, or maybe something like that now. I would have definitely led an army to change this country. I'm tired of the situation. I would not have stepped back and looked through this nonsense. It came at a time where if I knew I could do it at the time, I would have done it.